Morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Morning Briefing here on NoFilter.net. I'm Jeff DeForest, along with one Mike Lubitz. And it is a peel yourself off the mat Monday. We would introduce a little politics here, but really, the last couple of weeks, nothing happening on the political front. So we had the Biden dropout. That was following a week after an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Kind of quiet, very sedate. The political scene here in the United States of America has really been something. Maybe you're betting on who's going to be the next president, which would not be an easy proposition. You probably could have got long odds on Kamala Harris. That's for sure. Bet Online, though, would be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online when it comes to sports betting. I don't know if they're taking anything on the presidential race. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything. From the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing, bet Verstappen every time out. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to their online casino. You can play blackjack, poker, or unwind with one of their over 150 slot games that they have. Head to the website today to get in on all the action and use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, and that'll entitle you to a 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet Online, the game starts here. I love adverse conditions. You know that about me, Lubie. And the British Open, now known as simply the Open, could not provide any more extreme adverse conditions than it does. And it's certainly, they always say this about the NCAA tournament, Lou. It always delivers. I think the British Open always delivers, from the Van de Velde meltdown all the way through what transpired over the weekend, where you had Xander Schauffele finally emerge with a two-shot victory, and he's now won two majors this year. Opened up a little bit of a debate. I don't know how important this is to anybody as to who's in the lead right now as the golfer of the year. Do you take your man Scottie Scheffler? He's got 6 wins this year, including a Masters victory and also the Tournament Players Championship. 4 others, or Schauffele, who's now won 2 of the 4 majors. Has to be given consideration. I'm still going with Scheffler. He's been a contender each and every one. But you had to love it. And from a betting standpoint, we had a little bit of a moment of thrill there until they got to the first tee. There's a friend of ours, the professor, had at 75-1 Justin Thomas, who was only 4 shots off the pace. And what you love about the British Open, now the Open, is that it can all change in an instant. Guy steps up to the first tee. Kind of have a little bit of a Weasley introduction, do they not, Lubie? Are you a fan of the intros there? It's not like they hired Michael Buffer or Jimmy Lennon Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe they should go with Bruce Buffer. Fighting out of the blue corner. Screaming maniac in there. But the guy is, I guess he's a classic, and it fits in with all of the stuff that's true about the United Kingdom, which is that it's boring. It pretty much sucks. If you're the Chamber of Commerce, you're in hiding today, are you not?
Yeah.
You go to the beach there in the summertime. What do you think about doing? You don't think about breaking out a volleyball or something or some beer. You think about breaking out a cyanide cap. And you're thinking, is there a worse fucking place to live than the United Kingdom?
No.
They have lousy weather. It's been raining since Wimbledon. Since Wimbledon when Rod Laver won it. Every day was fucked up there. I mean, just horrendous conditions. The Saturday leaders, when they went out there, by the time they got to the course, it was absolutely an abortion. Nobody would have played in these conditions. But over there in Scotland, they're like, hey, let's party, everybody. It's summertime. Exactly. They're breaking out the sunscreen. Everybody looks pasty. They have lousy food. Are you kidding me? Their signature dish is a bunch of burger meat with a glop of potatoes thrown on it, and they call that a pie. No wonder everybody looks like they've been drained of all of their blood. I mean, how about a vegetable once in a while, though? Would that work its way into the system? I don't know. But the tournament was great. I mean, the juxtaposition on the leaderboard was fantastic. Schauffele certainly deserved it. Justin Rose was a fan favorite there. He was seeking his first victory. I think he's been in 23 of these things. Had to qualify to get in. He's knocking on a door. And I don't know that anybody buzzed more putts right by the hole there that didn't go in than Justin Rose. He certainly was within an eyelash of taking the thing down. And then you had the usual assemblage of nondescript European schmecks, guys you never heard of, where you can hear like Mike Tirico thumbing through the press guy going, who the fuck is this guy? Well, he's leading now. What a brilliant player. I tell you what, he's come from nothing. It was fantastic. So congratulations go out to Schauffele for winning the Open and winning 2 majors. Very, very steady player. And our guy I mentioned with Justin Thomas, he had him at 75-1. Remember, we got the text from the professor? And he said, well, if the guy gets off to a good start, he's within 4 shots of lead. First shot off the first tee. Here's Justin Thomas. Whoosh! Hits the ball. First of all, I mean, you have to overcome like trains coming at you and 50-mile-per-hour winds and torrential slanting rain. And first shot off the tee goes way to the left there. It's over the tracks and out of bounds. And the next thing you know, the guy, one shot himself right out of a chance to win the tournament. Although it was prohibitive that he was going to win it anyway because he would have had to shoot 9 under, which what just wasn't happening. But nonetheless, you're in there with a 75-1 shot. You hate to see him shank that first ball out of bounds and take a triple bogey on number one. All right, so also over the weekend, would you have taken the 40-some-odd points? I guess it was 44 and a hook with South Sudan against the United States of America in international basketball, a little prelude to the Olympic Games. South Sudan, who I had to do some math on this, Lubie. Are you any good? Remember when in America there was this movement on, you might not have been born yet, to move everything to the metric system and all measurements, and they even put them up in some ballparks, some major league ballparks. They took the 297 sign down. They didn't do it at Yankee Stadium, but in some ballparks they started putting up metric measurements, which nobody understood, right?
No,
Nobody knows what it is. So I'm looking, and they had this in metric measurements, the roster of South Sudan. All of them are about 2 meters, which equates out to 6'5", and there are guys taller than that. What do they have? How could they possibly be within 1 point with a last-second buzzer shot made by LeBron James being the difference by 1 point? South Sudan versus an all-star team from the NBA and the United States of America. This is our game, for Christ's sake.
Yep.
Was Manute Bol out there? Who the hell was playing for South Sudan? Do you know any of these guys? Have you ever heard of them? Are they NBA players?
No.
Where the fuck did they come from?
No, never heard of any of them.
What did you make of that, Lubie? I mean, should there be some concern, or was this like Mike Tyson losing to Buster Douglas after training on sake and geisha girls for 2
there's
weeks?
a lot of concern. People have been worried about this team. Can they win gold? I thought that was stupid because the team is still loaded with NBA All-Stars and superstars, but they're struggling, and that was weird. I know they didn't take them seriously in South Sudan, but not taking seriously is what they did the previous game where it was close and then they pulled away in the second half. For it to be the need for, they were literally down a point with 20 seconds. Like, it's South Sudan. I don't even know. That's not even a whole country. I don't even know what that is. Like,
imagine it. That would be like Ohio State losing to Arkansas State.
Which is weird.
Yeah, or something. Or Arkansas Little Rock. I mean, some school with a hyphen. How is it possible they're even in the game?
That was weird.
Imagine if you had laid the 43 and well, I guess you knew it was over right at the beginning. You'd be like those guys standing at the beach in Scotland there thinking, cyanide cap, please. Anything. Now, are they going to be a factor later on, South Sudan, or is this just a cause for alarm that the United States of America has lost its grip on its very own game? What do you think?
I mean, I don't think they're going to make any kind of a run. I just think it lets you know the Americans are not head and shoulders above anyone. And they're going to have to take these games seriously, whereas it used to be just be fun and games and you can fuck around. If they want to win a gold, I guess it would be their 5th or 6th straight. They will have to take it very seriously because the rest of the world is not only coming, but they close the gap a great deal.
Maybe so. I refused to buy that for the longest period of time, that the rest of the world was catching up with the United States in basketball, because they would just pluck any number of guys. They could take a third-tier team out of the NBA, and you would think that they would prevail. But this was, I don't know, if you're not startled by that. I certainly was. And to think that they could have lost to South Sudan, what a disgrace. Only that Iverson team seemed to be that vulnerable. And it still seemed impossible to conceive that they would do anything but win the gold medal unless, of course, I mean, not that you would imply for a second that international officiating is somewhat not on the level. It might be a little bit bizarre, but it's inconceivable to me that the United States of America in basketball, using all-star NBA players, could possibly even be remotely challenged by the likes of South Sudan And you would have to think about. I'm inclined to go along with your strategy in these kind of situations. Fire everybody right now. Bring back Bring back Coach K. He was able to apply some and institute some level of discipline, at least, so that the team didn't come back in disgrace and get tagged with a bunch of losses. Hall of Fame ceremonies, Major League Baseball yesterday, kind of went by the board without a whole lot of fanfare. Would you agree? It wasn't like this was an illustrious class. What did you have? Adrian Beltre, Joe Mauer, Todd Helton. And a guy that we were familiar with here because he won his only world championship, even though he had some outstanding teams in Pittsburgh. It was hard to conceive that Jim Leyland couldn't win a World Series while he was manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He came and won his one World Series championship with the 1997, then called the Florida Marlins, and he won that thing while he was, I don't know that he was fully committed to that, Lubie, because I'll never forget. He would be on the bullpen phone. They would show a shot of him on the bullpen phone. And you're thinking, oh, geez, he's going to change pitchers now? That seems a little odd. Team would be up like 4-0, cruising along in the sixth inning. And you would see a picture on the screen of Leland picking up the phone. And I happened to be watching the game one day in the announcer's booth at Calder Racecourse, where I was friends with the track announcer at the time, a guy named Phil Saltzman, who was a real character. And he picks up the phone. Now, I'm looking at a picture of Leland on the dugout phone. And who is it on the phone in the announcer's box there at Calder Racecourse? It's Jim Leyland calling. Yeah. And I think, wait a minute, he's supposed to be calling a bullpen. He's calling his track announcer. And he had requested that Phil Saltzman find somebody who could run to the window and put $200 to win on the 4-ball. I'm asking myself, how engaged is this guy that he's making bets there in the middle of the sixth inning of a ball game? And would he be able to get away with that today, Lubie? They would ban this guy for life if they holy Pete Rose. What are we talking about? But he was, well-deserving, I guess. I don't know. What do you think? Just for longevity in the game, Jim Leyland as a Hall of Fame manager?
Yeah, he helped the Tigers get to a World Series. He had the Pirates getting within a play at the plate of getting to the World Series. He won a World Series with the Marlins. Yeah, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. This class is just underwhelming. And none of the steroid guys still are getting Bonds and Clemens, A-Rod, Guy, like all those guys who are headline type guys either will never get in or are still very far away from getting in.
Not sure that they ever get in. I think the sentiment, unless there's, once, by the time that they would be eligible, because this current group of press voters has passed away, they would no longer be eligible anymore. So instead, you get like a bunch of utility infielders. I'm surprised Phil Linz didn't get in by the Veterans Committee there for that episode where he was playing a harmonica in the back of the bus, and Yogi Berra had to tell him to stop as he was pissing off everybody that was wearing a Yankee uniform. Baseball returned over the weekend, Lubie. Are you interested yet? I mean, where are you going to put your attention in the next few weeks? Because you already have football training camps opening up. And that is generating some news as the NFL continues to dominate. And what are we talking about? We're talking about a couple of weeks away from the first preseason game. Is it that close? We're going to have preseason football to bet on? My God.
There you go.
I knew I felt a little bit of a twitch today, but I'm not inclined to bet on preseason football. Are you? There are certain things that are taboo for me. Preseason football would be one, although there are people that think that they have an edge in that based on coaches' desire to win. Certainly, you would have to take a look at what John Harbaugh has done with the Ravens in preseason football. What did he win? Like 25 straight games or something like that against the spread?
Yep.
Unbelievable how he put some emphasis on that. It's a kind of winning streak that makes you think he should be subject to an investigation, no? Marv Levy, when he was coaching the Buffalo Bills, could have given a flying fuck about the preseason and routinely would go 0-4, even while the Bills were going to 4 straight Super Bowls. He really didn't care about the outcome of the game. If you watch Hard Knocks over the years, do you get the impression that these coaches really care about wins and losses in the preseason?
No.
You can't imagine by the time you get to the UPS drivers that are playing in the fourth quarter of the first preseason game that anybody's thinking, geez, if we lose this one, it's not going to be good for the season. Not at all. Does your man Tua get his contract, Lubie? What do you think before the season starts?
I thought he would. They're at some kind of stalemate. He's keeping it close to the vest, so give him credit for that. I don't know. I really don't know. The whole thing's a little weird to me.
Seems like, we know this. One of our good friends who appears on our shows frequently, a guy named Brett Tessler, is an agent, sports agent, has been for a long time, exclusively with NFL guys. And he always says that nothing in the National Football League gets done until it's absolutely necessary.
Has to, yeah.
So, what do you think? Does it become absolutely necessary, or is this much like the debate over Joe Biden's competency and mental agility with the Democrats, where they're thinking this isn't really our guy. We don't want to give him the money, but we want him to play for us one more year and maybe be what? He'd be in a position to be franchise tagged next year. So you could still have him around for a couple of years while you searched around for an answer. But I mean, with the commitment that McDaniel had to Tua Tagovailoa, you'd think he'd be in the office every day screaming, "Give this man his money!" Right? He'd be like KGB in the movie Rounders, "Pay that man his money."
Yep.
And yet, I'm with you. I don't know. I for some reason, and this will probably be announced today that he signed an extension, but I don't see this getting done before the season starts. And that's interesting because lately there have been a lot of surveys about like the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, who's in the top 10. He's not mentioned in the top 10 in a lot of these surveys, Lubie. And you could make a case that he would be undeserving, although you love this guy.
He led the league in passing yards. I mean, whatever. It's a funny misconception about him. Literally, guys that haven't done anything,
nothing,
over him. So it's fine. I mean, he made that.
Would you rather have Deshaun Watson at $250 million or Tua?
No, I don't want Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I don't want Kirk Cousins. I don't.
Kyler Murray. I mean, this kind of quarterback
at that contract. No, whatever. Because their offense is exciting. He gets punished for it. I don't know. He led the league in passing yards. He led the league in touchdown. I mean, like he had a ridiculous year. Was an MVP candidate, and he's 14th. Like, come on, get the
stayed healthy, and yet there doesn't seem to be any a great impulse to go ahead and embrace this if you happen to be the Miami Dolphins. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that is going to draw a line in the sand and say, hey, listen, if I don't get this money.
No, he
seems like a very agreeable human being. I mean, it's his money. His agents are probably in there negotiating, whatever. And to us, $1 million is a life-changing score. To a guy who's making $49 million, does it matter if he's making 48? You have to wonder about that. But that'll be an interesting question that will be sort of lurking throughout as a theme during the preseason, and we'll see if anything happens there. Supposedly he's going to be a hold-in, Lubie. Report to training camp and then kind of sit there on the sidelines juggling.
Just say fuck it. I mean, I don't give him. I don't blame him. I mean, guys after him are getting the extensions, and he's done what he was asked. I mean, is he elite? I guess not. I don't know. I know that he's put up really good numbers, and he stayed healthy, and they've gone to back-to-back playoffs for the first time in over 20 years. So,
all right. Yeah, so you're going KGB on this. Pay that man his money.
Yeah, it's done. There's no one else out there.
All right, well, beautiful being with you here after, I mean, it was an interesting weekend all the way around, a lot of different stuff. They're panicking in New York, by the way, after the Yankees and Mets both put in stinkeroo series coming back from the All-Star game. And again, interesting. Major League Baseball got the trade deadline coming up, a lot of different transactions going to take place. And, of course, the Olympics on the horizon, where you have to wonder and speculate. Can you bet on what will be the biggest controversy in the Olympic Games?
I don't know.
what country will have the most athletes suspended and yet still have their medals hauled up? All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. A lot of fun being with you as always here on nofilter.net, the various other platforms that carry the program. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to today's edition of the Morning Briefing.